Hello everyone, how are you? It's Riss. So today I'm going to be doing a little late January reading recap. I had such a good reading month in January. I feel like I read literally so much. So I'm excited to share these books, and I honestly have found some of my new favorite books of all time. So the first book I want to talk about is Hidden Scars by Andy Jackson. Y'all, this book, Jesus. My friend is borrowing this book right now, and that's how you know that it's like a hard hitter. It's one of my favorite books of all time now. Like, actually one of my favorite books of all time. I have a list in my notes app of my favorites of all time so I don't forget any. And bro, like, that book did not come to play. It is a male hockey romance, and I'm gonna do an entire video of a haul of male romances because once I get my next paycheck, I am going buck wild, girl, and I'm gonna order so many books. Male is like two boys. It is enemies to lovers, forced proximity. They are in college, and it's like a I don't think it's a hockey college, but it's like a big hockey like culture, and it's also like Grumpy Sunshine, so the Grumpy moves to the school and he's like tortured and brooding, and his story is really sad, so definitely check the trigger warnings. But then he meets the other boy, I think his name is Jeremy, and they're roommates. This book consumed me. All I could think about was reading this book, genuinely. So please do yourself a favor and read it. Next books I have just in a pile behind me are the Rock Hard Beautiful series. This is a rock star reverse harem. It's Groupie, Moxie, and Brody. I think I have them the wrong way. But these books, they were so fun. And a fourth one's supposed to come out, and there's something between two of these freaking characters that hasn't happened that needs to happen. There is male in this reverse harem, and it just like is so fun. It took me completely by surprise. So yeah, I would definitely pick up this series. It's like not the most well-written thing, like, I don't know, but it's fun. And I mean, there are better reverse harems out there, but at the same time, like, I don't know, it was just a blast. Next, I have Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This was such a pleasant surprise. It was so good. It was like this beautiful fantasy, and it was multiple timelines, and the way that they all just like converged into each other was like just perfect. I really enjoyed this book, and it's so floppy. I would love to pick up more by her. A lot of people liked this book too. Well, it follows, the main character is Miriam, and she is a moneylender, basically like a debt collector, because her dad was a moneylender, but he didn't ever push to get the money back, so it hurt his family. So when she's finally old enough, she decides to be the debt collector, and she's like a bad bitch. And the fae from like a bordering realm, and it's also like winter, so it's like constant snow, constant hardships, and it's because of the fae. And he finds out what she's doing, and he thinks it's like so well crafted. Like, he thinks it's magic. He thinks that her turning silver to gold is magic, when it's actually just bargaining and selling and like a business strategy. So he wants her to turn his silver into gold, and she does, and then he ends up taking her back to the kingdom. And that is like the very tiny surface of this book. There's also a storyline with this family, and the oldest daughter works for Miriam's family. There's a princess POV. This book is really good if you want like a very different fantasy. Next, I read Darling Venom. This was on my TBR for a while, and it did not disappoint. It was good. It's definitely not like one of my favorite books of all time, like I feel like it is for most people, but it's sad. It's like this girl's first love is this boy, and it starts with them, and then he ends up committing suicide, and then years later she meets his older brother. So it's like age gap, like kind of enemies to lovers, but not really, because like the reason why she doesn't like him is because his brother called him like a dick and stuff. And I don't know, it's just the way they come back together. They come together and like heal Kellen's death, the younger brother. There was something really special about it, and this book definitely had me shedding tears. It's mainly grief focused. It is not like the spiciest thing ever, but there is one really good scene. You probably know what I'm talking about if you've read this. But yeah, overall, this book was definitely a good read, and I would recommend it. Next, I read Ghost Music, and this book is actually what started me wanting to annotate, and now I'm so into it. This book was so good. It was so like it blurred so many lines, and it's about this girl, and she's kind of like a little bit lost, I guess. I don't know. And she has these deliveries of mushrooms, and she keeps seeing mushrooms like in her sleep talking to her, and it's like a cool blend of like her finding her way out of a pretty boring marriage, and her discovering things about her husband, and also her mother-in-law is a big presence. And then there's also this classical music element too. This book was so unique. I would definitely recommend it if you want a book with a lot of quotable moments. Next, I read Exiled by Jessie Walker, another male romance. This book had me blushing, kicking, screaming, and feeling a certain way, if you know what I mean. Like, this is a age gap, pretty big age gap. They're on this rehab island, and the older one, is a newly divorcee person, I don't know, and he is an alcoholic and he's in recovery. And then the younger boy, who's 18, comes in, and he has a lot of mental health problems. He is autistic, but he kind of comes to that conclusion afterwards because he has a lot of trauma. And just like the way they're together is so good. It starts out with them on the rehab island, but then about halfway through the book, there's a time jump to like 3.5 years later when they reconnect. And it was a really moving book, really powerful, really, really hot. And I know this is a part of a series, 13 or like more books. So I'm excited to see what else this series has to offer. It's like all these books all take place at Black Diamond Resort, but they're all written by different authors. Like, the author who did Hidden Scars, she has a book in this series, which I'm going to eat up. So yeah, Exiled would definitely recommend. Next, I read the first volume of Nana. It's a manga, and I really enjoyed it. I am a little hesitant to go further into it because there are 21 volumes, and I'm not necessarily intimidated by the length of how many books there are. It's just like the money aspect, and I know I could probably read it on my iPad or whatever, but there's just something about like having it. So I don't know. It was good though. A lot of people know about Nana. It's like a really popular manga. And then I don't know why I chose to show the second volume of Heartstoppers. Heartstopper. Dude, this series, I read them all in like a freaking day. I knew this series was good. I knew that it was going to be good, but I underestimated just how amazing. This series made me just feel so happy. It made me feel so good, and I just loved it. I loved every little thing about it. I have genuinely no criticism for this series. There are 5, and volume 6 I think comes out this year. Dude, do yourself a favor and get some lovin' and read the Heartstopper series. It is beautiful. And the last book I read, I don't know why I forgot about it, was The 7-Year Slip. This book was really good. It was very like appropriate, I guess, for my age right now, and I just found myself relating to a lot of her struggle, like, with her life. I don't know if I would say, like, coming of age. I feel like that's not the right word. But it kind of has those vibes where she is coming into herself more. And it was really good. A lot of people have read that book, so I won't say too much. But if there's one takeaway from this video, read freaking male romance. That shit, mwah, so good. But comment your favorite read of January, or if we're a little bit into February. But I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye! Ah!